Three words, three times. It's in the book of Genesis. It's chapter 22. Man has a son he really loves. His name is Abraham, and his son is Isaac. And they had so much struggle for Isaac to be born. And then in verse 1, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And here's the first time those three words are uttered. Abraham says, here I am. And then God says, take your son, your only son that you love, go to the land of Moriah and offer him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I'll tell you. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being a dad? Can you imagine having that son and hearing God say, take him, offer him as a sacrifice? And yet Abraham did exactly what God told him to do. He got up and he headed for the mountain. The second time you hear those three words is in verse 7. Isaac is with Abraham now, and he says to Abraham, my father, and you get those same three words again. Abraham says to Isaac, here I am. Isaac had a question. He said, hey, I see the fire, I see the wood. Where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Can you imagine what must have been going through Abraham's mind? He answered the question, verse 8, when he said, my son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. The third time is in verse 11. Abraham now has the wood. He has the altar set up. He has Isaac on the altar. And he has the knife drawn back to take his life like God told him to. But the angel of the Lord in verse 11 calls from heaven and says, Abraham, Abraham. He called his name twice. And Abraham says again, those three words, the third time, here I am. And the angel then says, don't lay your hand on him, verse 12. Don't lay your hand on the lad or do anything, for I now know that you fear God, since you've not withheld your only son from me. Can you imagine what all Abraham must have gone through? But every single time Abraham was called upon, whether it was God, whether it was Isaac, whether it was the angel, Abraham was ready. He said, here I am, and he was ready without failure, without wavering to follow God. When we respond today to obedience, God will provide for us.